All right, today we're going to talk about a biblical perspective on marriage. And we're going to talk about some of the biblical principles for marriage and, hopefully how to make your marriage more successful, where it's an enjoyable thing. Because let's face it, marriage can either be, this great heaven on earth experience, or it can be hell on earth, depending on what your marriage is like. Hopefully we'll shift it more towards heaven on earth. So let's talk about marriage. Recently we taught a seminar here at the gym on marriage, and the first question we asked, what's the point? Why get married? Why do people get married in the first place? And people had various answers from, have a partner so you can have kids, all these different answers. And really, what I think the answer is that, it's two people coming together who will encourage each other and inspire each other and build a vision together, and who are coming together, and they can create something that's greater than either one of them can create on their own. Okay, and they can build a life together that's greater than either one of them could do individually, because they are coming together. Now, this requires that's the goal, I think, but it requires a little bit different perspective on marriage. So first thing in marriage is marriage requires two, what I would call, whole people. Okay, so two whole people. So if you are going into marriage, and what I mean whole, I mean you are somewhat self-sufficient, and we'll talk about what that means here in a second, but two whole people. And what I mean by whole people is that you are self-sufficient. You are looking to do things on your own. You're not going into the marriage to get your needs met by the other person. So if you have a needy person in a marriage, or two needy people in a marriage, they are pulling from each other, and they're actually diminishing each other and draining energy from each other, where the goal of marriage is to inspire each other, to encourage each other, to contribute to each other, to produce something that's greater than either one of you could do on your own. But we have to get to this place first of this idea of self-sufficiency, and that I'm learning to get my needs met through God rather than from the other person. Okay, I'm going into the relationship with the goal of making the other person better. I'm going into the relationship for what I can give to it rather than what I can get from it, knowing that full truth be told, that if I truly give to it, I'm going to get back as well. But I'm going in for what I can give to the relationship, not what I can get from it. Now, in this marriage relationship, we want two whole people. When I say whole people, what I want is two people that are activated. They are connected to God. Number one, they're getting their needs met through God. They're activated in God, and that they are connected with God. They're hearing from Him regularly. They know what God's plans and His purposes and His ways are for their life. And then they are coming together willingly to collaborate and to create a partnership that's better than anything that they could do individually. And it's kind of by God's direction that this happens. But we have two people coming together, and they're going to inspire each other, encourage each other, and build each other up, and to where they can collaborate to produce some amazing things. That's the goal of marriage. But we have to have two whole people. So a lot of times people get into marriage for the wrong reasons. They're looking to get their needs met, or they're looking to have expectations of the other person, rather than going in for what I can give to the person, and what I'm going to be, how can I make that person better and inspire them and encourage them to fulfill the plans that God has for their life. That's the goal here. Now, there's some interesting things we can learn about marriage if we just look at it from a different perspective. So if you view it biblically, it talks about that, we are, let's say, the bride of Christ, and Jesus is the husband, okay? So if we look at it from that perspective of that God, or Jesus, is the husband and we are the bride, what do we want from God? Okay, what are we typically looking for from God in a relationship with Him? And what is God typically looking for from us in His relationship with us? So let's talk about on the husband side. What is the husband typically looking for? So we can look at this out. This is what a husband is wanting from his wife. So first thing, God wants us to believe in Him, to be open, to open our hearts to Him, to believe in Him, have faith in Him, be grateful for the things that He's done for us. That is the ultimate expression of what God is looking for. He wants us to believe in Him, to have faith in Him, and to be grateful for what He's done for us. And so wives, your husband wants that from you. He wants, ideally we're getting our needs met from God, but your husband wants to see this expressed through you, is that you are open to Him. You're open to Him spiritually, mentally, physically, with your physical body, and you believe in Him. You have faith in Him. You're grateful for Him. You appreciate Him as a person when you do that. The Bible talks about, wives, you should respect your husband. That means you have belief, you have faith, you're grateful for him, you appreciate him. That's how you have respect for him. That's going to inspire him. That's going to motivate him. That's going to encourage him. Because if he's going after God's plan for his life, there's going to be times where he's tempted to get discouraged. It's not going to always go according to plan. He needs someone there by his side to encourage him, to support him, to inspire him during those times, and to help him. And so that's the things that he's looking from you: the ultimate expression, belief, faith, gratitude, openness, spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally. Those are the things that he is looking for. On the other side, what are we usually looking for from God? This is what the wife is typically looking for in the relationship. We are looking for what do we want from God? We want security. We want presence. We want his love. We want his protection in our life, security, presence, love. Those are the things that we're looking for. Surprise would be another one that goes into that category. These are some of the things we talk about in my book, Cracking Heaven's Code, the different ends of the coding spectrum. There's a male side and a female side. The husband is looking for belief, faith, love, appreciation, gratitude. The female side, what they're looking for is security, presence, love, and this connection where you're present with them all the time. Those are the things that we typically want from God. So these are the things that a wife is typically looking for in a husband. But there's a vicious cycle that can play out in marriage that you need to be careful of, is that, and it can start on one side or the other. Maybe the husband is not very present. Okay? He's not very present. Maybe he's not expressing his love the way he should. Maybe he doesn't make the wife feel secure. And on the other side, she wants to close down. She doesn't want to be as open. She doesn't appreciate him as much. His reaction over here causes her to do that, and it feeds this vicious cycle, because the more closed off she is, the less she believes and has faith in him, the more he withdraws his presence. Okay, the more he withdraws his love, the more he withdraws his security, and then it feeds the cycle over and over. Now, it could start on her side, where she's closed off, spiritually, physically, emotionally, or she's not believing in her husband, doesn't appreciate him, doesn't express gratitude to him, and he will withdraw his presence this way, and the cycle begins to ensue again. So we have to watch out for this cycle. Now, the other part of marriage is, just face it, you can't change the other person. So if you're married to someone, you keep thinking, like, I wish I could change them. I wish they would be more like this or more like this. You can't change them, okay? Only God can change them. Only God can cause a change of heart in them. And the more that you try to change them, the more you try to get them to conform to what you want them to be, both either male or female, either side, it doesn't matter. The more you try to change them, it's only going to make it worse. The more you confront it and try to make it better, it's only going to make it worse. You can pray and ask for God's help and how you can connect better, but the more you try to change it yourself, the more it's just going to make it worse. Now, one of the things you can do is express your mindsets on what you believe a good marriage should look like. You're going to go through, this is what I don't want my marriage to look like. This would be okay. This is really the ultimate expression of what I want marriage to look like. Maybe where we're encouraging and inspiring and, motivating each other and making each other better. That's where we want to get to, okay? And you lay that out and you say, well, where do we fit on this mindset spectrum right now? And you can try to get on the same page. A lot of this is getting on the same page, because one of the things, we talk about this in my book, Cracking Heaven's Code, we're talking about opposite ends of the coding spectrum here, but in the middle, the thing that connects the two of you. So you're two opposites. That's one of the things you need to realize in marriage as well, is you're two opposites, okay? Male and females are opposites. And this idea of opposites can sometimes be hard to deal with, because you're dealing with someone who thinks differently than you. And so the more you can get connected and get on the same page with a shared vision, a shared plan, a shared set of mindsets about where you want to go with life, that's going to make it easier. And that middle piece is all about trust. Trust is the glue that holds the relationship together. So how do we build trust? Number one, we do what we say we're going to do, okay? If you say you're going to do something, you follow through and you actually do it, and timing is a factor in that as well. So not only do you do it, but you do it at the proper time. So if I said, little things, I'm going to take out the trash, I'm going to wash the dishes, or whatever it would be, I actually do them and follow through on the things that I said I was going to do, and I do them at the proper time. That's how you build trust. So all those little times when you don't follow through and you don't do what you said you were going to do, those things eat away at trust. And then trust is also trusting that the other person has your best intentions at heart, that they really truly care about you and they have the best intentions in mind. Those are some of the ways that we build trust. But trust is the centerpiece. It's the glue that holds the relationship together. One of the other things on the coding stuff, we talk about the Abundant Life Blueprint, is finances. Finances are actually in the center room on this Abundant Life Blueprint. If you haven't seen the blueprint, you can go to danielfoley.net. You'll see a house picture on there. It's got the Abundant Life Blueprint. Finances are the code for, are the center room on the house. The more that a husband and wife can get together and work on a plan and get coordinated on the same page with their finances, it increases connection with the husband and wife. So that's one of the things that you can do that helps. And what I like to do is when you do your finances, do them together and do them forecasting out. So don't get to the end of the month and say, well, this is how we did going in reverse, because there's nothing you can do about it now. Get together, what is the plan? Where do you want to go with your finances? And look out, say this month we're planning on having this much expenses, this much income coming in, we're ahead, we're short, here's what we're looking at. Okay, and you can pray and ask God for help, ask for His grace, and you can work together. Well, what do we need to do to get a few extra $100 in this month so that we're ahead? Or what do we need to do to get it where we're saving consistently? Or whatever it may be. You can look ahead and you can forecast ahead and you can see problems coming ahead and you can work together to solve those problems. It will increase connection in your marriage by working on your finances together, getting on the same page. Too often one spouse does all the finances. They do all the budgeting, all the forecasting, all of that stuff, and the other person's completely in the dark and they don't know what's coming and they start spending, and then the other spouse gets aggravated and frustrated because they're spending money when we're tight on money and these types of things. If you can do it together, it's going to increase your connection. It's going to help to get you on the same page. It's going to help to create more trust in your relationship. It's on that coding, it's on that correlated framework there for that. So get your finances coordinated together, look out, do it as forecasting out into the future. This is where our plans are, this is where we're going. Get coordinated on the same mindsets together and build a vision together. Those things all increase connection. Watch out for these vicious cycles that can play out in marriage. And then the final last thing I want to touch on is just empathy, is putting yourself into your spouse's shoes. So a simple exercise you can do that is very, very helpful is take a few minutes. You could do it the night before, you could do it during the morning of a day or anytime during the day, and take 3 to 5 minutes and just envision your spouse's day. When you forecast out, okay, this is forecasting, you see vision. This is one of the things that God does for us. So husbands, if you can do this for your wife, it will earn you a lot of points in your marriage. God looks ahead in our lives. He sees what's coming and He makes preparations for things that are coming in our lives. So as an example, this is an easy one. I looked out one day, I saw my wife, she had a long day at work coming up, a longer than normal day. Now normally I will help her get her lunch ready and food packed for the day ahead, but I saw she had a longer day, so I packed more food. She didn't say anything about it. I looked ahead, saw it was coming, and I packed more food for her because I knew she was going to need it. Well, that meant more to her than me writing her love notes and doing all these things, because I stepped into her world, I stepped into her shoes, and I forecasted what was coming, and I made preparations for her without her even knowing about it. And that's what God does for us. He does this amazing thing for us. He looks ahead in our life, He sees what's coming, and He's already got plans for it. He's already made provision for it in our lives. And as husbands, when we can do that, and wives, you can do this as well, step into the other person's shoes. What do they have coming up in the day? How are they going to feel? What are their emotions that they're going to feel in the day? What might they need help with as they go throughout the day? As you can step into their shoes, it creates connection, it creates empathy. It's going to help you to connect better and to increase the connection that you feel in your marriage. Now remember this too. We're kind of just rambling now. Marriage is not so much, you need communication, but what we're really after is connection, okay? So there's a great book called How to Fix Your Marriage Without Talking About It. And the gist of the book is that what most marriages need more of is not communication, it's connection, okay? Ways to create connection. Get together on your finances. Put yourself in your spouse's shoes and look ahead to what they've got coming for the day. Make sure you connect spiritually, mentally, physically with your spouse. Every single day would be another one that you can do. But how can I increase the amount of connection that I feel with my spouse, and we feel like we're on the same page and we're doing this together, we're inspiring each other, we're motivating each other, we're bringing out the best in each other, and we're building a life together that's better than either one of us could do separately or on our own. These are the goals of marriage. But I hope some of these tips help. I don't have it all figured out, but these are some of the things that I've learned to be helpful. If you want to learn more about this blueprint, you can go to danielfoley.net and you can see the picture of the blueprint there, or you can learn more about some of this balancing of the opposites and this coding structure that we're talking about in my book, Cracking Heaven's Code. You can find that at danielfoley.net as well. But I hope this helps. Check out some of the other videos for some more good information here on YouTube.